How often do you ride a Royal Enfield to your office?
To my office, rarely, because I live in Delhi and I work in Gurgaon and it's terrible traffic and I don't attempt to do that very often. But within the city in Delhi, I ride very often and, just around the city, and I like to go for longer rides. And I guess part of my job is to ride. So, I'm testing all our new motorcycles all the time. I go to Chennai, I go to UK and to other parts of Europe. We're testing our motorcycles, competition motorcycles, just to be sure that what we're developing for the future is really very good.
Which has been your longest ride so far on Royal Enfield?
Longest ride, I had a month in Europe, maybe nearly 2 decades ago. So that was a very long ride. It was only me with a, let's say with a tent and and some clothes in the bag. So it was really very basic. But my most arduous ride, I would say, was in 2010 when we went up. 7 of us went up from Manali to Leh, and that was, in fact, the same time when it was terrible weather there. There was landslides and all the rain which happened up there. So we got caught in terrible weather, and it was the most fun ride ever. Yeah.
Okay, coming back to the technology, of late there are some bikes that are there to challenge you, especially they have double cylinders and you are still running on the single cylinder bikes. Do you think the time has come for India to have double cylinder bikes?
You can't say that a particular technology's time has come. What you can say is a particular idea's time has come. So in our case now, the idea of leisure motorcycling as exemplified and the entire package works. So it's the look, it's the economics of the motorcycle as well, which is important. It's the community which we built around it. It's the ecosystem of, let's say, of not only of our service points and all, which we have 400 authorized ones, but of the thousands of private mechanics and customizers and rental firms which operate with Royal Enfield. So it's the ecosystems which time had come, rather than one particular engine or style of engine. So, that's how I think it works. And when we go forward and when we look at our product plans and our other plans, we don't just look at it narrowly like, okay, I want to come out with a product and this is the specification. We looked at it in the larger ecosystem, how we can shift the market to something different.
Of all the foreign brands that are coming to India, do you see any of them challenging Royal Enfield in the near future?
Personally, I don't. I think on the one hand, of course, we're extremely conscious of competition and we do keep a lookout, but not beyond a point. I mean, we're not so focused on the outside that we worry about it or anything at all. We're totally not worried. And on the other hand, like I told you earlier, it's to some extent, it helps us when there's a lot of people coming into this space, because it grows the mind space of leisure motorcycling in the country. So more and more people are thinking about it. So if 5, 7 new brands come in, they generate excitement and ideas and all of that. But we're the ones who've got the mind share, we've got the distribution, and we've got the scale. Nobody else has anything close to the scale that we do in leisure motorcycling. So, or in, let's say, 250cc and above motorcycles in India, we have the entire scale. We have over 95% share. So our platform, our one single platform, this one here, is doing 30,000 motorcycles a month today. And in India, there's no one else, I think, doing even 1,000 motorcycles a day on a similar size platform. So even though we are tiny in the world market of motorcycling to that extent, but in India, in mid-size motorcycles, we are 30 times bigger than our competition.
When are you going to launch your next model?
Well, we have a lot of nice new motorcycles on the way, and you should see something certainly in 2016.
Of all the bikes in the Royal Enfield family, which one is your favorite?
It's like choosing between children, isn't it? But I'd go for the latest one as my favorite. I think these days, I go through phases myself, but these days I'm enjoying riding my GT a lot. So yeah, that's my favorite right now.
So where did you ride it to in India?
In India, my nicest ride on a GT was in fact before it was launched, even though I ride it very often when I go to Goa. But before it was launched, I rode all the way from Goa down to, I believe it was Mangalore or something. So along the coast, a leisurely trip over a couple of days. And yeah, that was a really nice ride. But then I got an opportunity to ride it quite a bit in the UK as well. When we were launching it, I've ridden it quite a bit in the US last year as well, when we were doing our events and other such things there. So I've been riding it, the GT, around the world now. And in Colombia actually.
You also have accessories and apparels of Royal Enfield. Do they contribute significant amount to the revenues of your company, or they are just there to support the Royal Enfield brand?
Apparel accessories business is relatively new. We're still, let's say, finding our way. We're still learning, the trade. We're not traditional, let's say, apparel makers. So everything is different. The business is entirely different. So right now we're still at very nascent stages. We've got a very good collection which has just come out. It's our largest collection so far, and we've started distributing in well over 100 dealerships of ours now, and then we're looking at newer formats of more standalone apparel stores as well. Like we've got one in our first pilot one was in Elante Mall in Chandigarh, which is the biggest mall there. So there's a lot of work going on that. It's not yet a big revenue driver for us, and but I imagine one day, I would say in the next 3 to 5 years, it should start contributing reasonably to the revenue of the company. And it's a sort of business which is extremely contiguous. So it's the apparel and accessory business totally supports the motorcycle business and vice versa. So they just feed off each other brilliantly. So it's a no-brainer business if you do it properly. So we have to do it properly. We have to still, learn and make our mistakes and continue to improve on it. But really, at the end of the day, it's not only the apparel business which supports the motorcycle brand, but it's the other way around. Sometimes the motorcycle business needs the apparel business, to as well. So it really works in very interesting ways. Yeah.
Right. Do you recognize any of the Royal Enfield bikers groups?
We don't do things like other people necessarily. So it's not like we have an official group and everyone has to wear an official badge and wear a same looking jacket. I think that's really tacky, in fact. So what we do is we have, there are lots of spontaneous, or let's say self-formed groups and clubs and and rides and meeting points and stuff like that, which form around our motorcycle. Often, sometimes there are other motorcycles involved. It doesn't bother us as long as there's a culture of riding that's getting involved. And we work with a lot of our clubs and groups and teams a lot. So we're in touch with them. We have a small team which is responsible for the community, and they work with our entire community and support them in any way that we can. But it's not the official badge which you have to wear and carry a card and sort of that's a bit tacky in our opinion.
My final question: where do you see the Royal Enfield brand 20 years down the line?
In a much longer time frame, 15-20 years time frame, Royal Enfield should have by then totally defined, or redefined nearly what leisure motorcycling, fun leisure motorcycling means to a modern consumer. Because I think the current form of leisure motorcycling, which is, like I said, in some cases extremely heavy or extremely fast, it's still going to have its relevance in the world, but less so, much less so, because people are growing older, and the generation which likes those kind of motorcycles is sort of depleting. And in fact, the generation which like those type of motorcycles is also looking at something different now. So as they grow older, for example, they're looking at something different, and the youth is also looking at something different. And that's from a demographic perspective, perhaps. From a geographic perspective, the richer countries, they're looking at, in fact, something which is not as big, not as expensive. The emerging markets, they're looking at, or let's say the vast majority of people who are riding small motorcycles today, commuter motorcycles, they're looking at moving up. So there's a full convergence from all points of view to the middle. And we want to totally dominate the middle, as it were, and we want to define the middle. It's not about domination, but it's about defining it. And once you define a category, you become the benchmark, and I believe that's what we can do as Royal Enfield.
Siddharth, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.